At the two ends of the earth lived two different men, distinct in appearance and in all bodily characteristics. One man lived in a very hot climate and appeared dark-skinned and strong, while the other lived in a very cold climate and appeared light-skinned. Yet the two men shared one thing in common. Both were unaware of how they came into existence, and neither possessed any known language. The two men survived on the vast animals that surrounded them for food. The man who lived in the hot climate was encircled by mountains, trees, and a wide variety of animals. He spent his days studying his environment to such an extent that he came to know nearly everything about each mountain, sea, and animal. This dark-skinned man never remained in one place. He traveled constantly, without ever reaching an end. Whenever he stopped, it was only to observe new natural phenomena in that area, and through this he gained tremendous understanding. On the other hand, the pale-skinned man who lived in the very cold climate did little to no traveling due to the harsh weather conditions he endured. This did not mean that he never traveled at all. Rather, it meant that he was forced to make frequent stops along the way. During these pauses, he often made fire by striking stones together to keep himself warm. He also skillfully hunted bears and used their skins for warmth, remaining constantly draped in bear hide to protect himself from the cold. Unlike the dark-skinned man, who preferred to cover his body mostly with leopard skin. Both men lived under these conditions for a considerable number of years, each independently convinced that he was the only man on the face of the earth. 200 years passed, and though both men had advanced in age, they retained youthful appearances. The dark-skinned man possessed a vast collection of drawings engraved in stone, recording his observations of nature and animals. The light-skinned man, on the other hand, had developed advanced skills in fire-making, shelter construction, shoemaking, and quick thinking, having learned to survive the constant melting of glaciers in the environment in which he lived. One day, the light-skinned man noticed that, as he wandered aimlessly, the harsh cold he was used to was fading. It grew steadily milder. Ice melted around him, a clear warning that he needed to leave quickly if he wanted to survive. After weeks of grueling travel, his eyes caught sight of sand in the distance. Without hesitation, he rushed toward this strange, dry land, eager to explore what seemed to him a completely new phenomenon. Meanwhile, the dark-skinned man continued steadily on his journey, but he too encountered new occurrences. He began to realize that his surroundings had grown much hotter than usual. He now had to stop frequently under trees to find shade, and he even cut down branches to fan himself, trying to lower his body temperature. The man also noticed that he was sweating far more than usual. All these changes greatly alarmed him as he observed everything around him except himself. The light-skinned man eventually arrived on dry land that appeared to be semi-desert. The area was surrounded by various trees and animals and was marked by a hot climate, all of which were unfamiliar to him. He also realized that the bear hide no longer served its purpose, as it had only been used to keep him warm, and he therefore decided to abandon it. The dark-skinned man began to fear for his life when he started sweating heavily, believing that he might be dying. He knelt down and appeared to worship the sun above him, seeking help. He did this both day and night, and even considered returning to the place from which he had come. What he did not realize was that every time he cried out in frustration upon that mountainous land, the echo of his voice traveled far and wide. One day, after a period of 10 days, both men realized that their surroundings had grown far hotter than they could bear. The ground itself had become intensely hot. They had now reached the equator. The dark-skinned man felt pain on the soles of his feet, as he was always barefoot, and he began wailing in anguish. His cry was so loud that its echo caught the attention of the light-skinned man, who was positioned just above the mountains. The light-skinned man then decided to descend the mountains to investigate the strange creature producing these unfamiliar sounds. As he made his way down, he caught sight of something entirely unknown to him. It was a living human being. By the time he reached the foot of the mountain, the dark-skinned man was kneeling on the grass, exhausted from crying, with only his back exposed as he faced away from the direction from which the light-skinned man had come.